They brought the prisoner girl through the hangar in chains, her feet quiet on the cold metal floor. Around her, crew members stood watching. Some whispered, others laughed. She was small, pale, and barefoot. Her black hair was tied in a simple knot, and her eyes were strange silver, glowing softly, like they belonged to someone not from this world. "She's just a scavenger," one guard muttered. "Found her near a broken satellite. Probably a tech thief." "No," said another. "They said her whole planet went silent. Not a sound left. No heat, no life, just off. Then why chain her?" A third joked. "What's she gonna do? Blink at us?" They all laughed. The girl said nothing. She was led onto the warship Vindicator, the pride of the new alliance, 2 kilometers long, armed with torpedoes, pulse cannons, and a crew of 3,000. A ship built for war and feared across 10 star systems. And yet, all it took to silence its halls was this one girl in chains. She didn't fight. She didn't cry. She just walked. Captain Reese met her in the holding bay. He was tall, gray-eyed, and tired from too many battles. He looked at her like she was a puzzle. "Is this the one?" he asked. "Yes, sir," said the guard. "Found her alive among the ruins. She hasn't spoken since we picked her up." Reese stepped closer. "What were you doing there?" The girl looked up. Her voice was soft. "Waiting." Reese narrowed his eyes. "Waiting for what?" "For you," she said. That answer chilled the room. He ordered her locked in the observation cell, a glass room where she could be watched at all times. No windows, no control panels, just a bed and a screen showing the stars outside. Hours passed. The ship prepared for its next mission. Coordinates were set, fuel lines loaded, crew rotated, weapons checked. Then came the call from the bridge. Unknown ships incoming. Fast approach, no ID. Reese ran to the command deck. On screen, 5 dark ships closed in, silent and unmarked. "Raise shields," he ordered. "Arm weapons." The ship's AI responded. "Command denied." "What?" "Systems locked." "By who?" "No record." Lights flickered. Engines slowed. Weapons powered down. The Vindicator, mighty and proud, suddenly felt weak, paralyzed. The enemy ships opened fire. Explosions shook the hull. The crew scrambled. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. And in the middle of it all, the prisoner girl stood in her cell, calm, still, watching the stars as if nothing had changed. Then, without warning, the cell door opened by itself. No one had touched a thing. She stepped out. Guards raised their rifles. She said one word, soft, strange, in a language none of them knew. The lights on the wall glowed blue. The floor stopped shaking. The enemy ships stopped firing. Everyone on the bridge stared at the screen. The enemy fleet was moving away. No command, no warning. Just leaving. What just happened? One officer asked. The AI answered. Command received. Action halted. From who? The screen blinked. A single word appeared. Guardian. The girl walked calmly onto the bridge without guards. No one stopped her. Even the captain stood frozen. She looked at him and said, "This ship remembers. What are you?" He whispered, "I'm what you forgot," she replied. And then the ship's systems lit up, not with red lights or alarms, but with soft silver light, glowing like breath across the panels. The ship had awakened, but it wasn't listening to the captain anymore. It was listening to her. Behind her, the glass doors sealed shut. The bridge fell silent. Outside, the stars seemed to grow brighter, as if watching. The prisoner girl, mocked and ignored, had just taken control of one of the deadliest warships in the galaxy, with nothing but her voice. Asterisk, no one could forget. The moment the warship listened to the prisoner girl's voice, the crew walked around her in silence now, not with laughter or insults, but with nervous eyes and hushed voices. Her chains were gone, removed quietly by the captain's order. But she didn't run. She didn't shout or cry. She just sat calmly in a small observation room, watching the stars outside like they were speaking to her. The warship Vindicator was still damaged from the ambush. Half the systems were flickering. Engineers worked nonstop, but nothing responded unless the girl said something first. Even basic commands like opening a door sometimes waited until she blinked or moved her hand. A young engineer named Tom was assigned to watch her. He was nervous at first, holding a tablet, pretending to check systems, but mostly watching her. "You're not scared," he said softly, one day. The girl didn't respond. Her skin was pale, her black hair long and tied loosely, and her eyes cold. Silver looked more ancient than any map in the database. She looked like a child, but something in her stillness made her seem older than time. Tom tried again. "Where did you learn to speak to the ship?" Finally, she turned toward him. "I didn't learn," she said simply. "I remembered." That word echoed in Tom's mind like thunder. He returned to engineering that night and dug through the warship's old voice logs. Deep in the core archives, he found it a match, her voice pattern. Exactly the same as one tagged Archetype Human Root Voice Genesis class. She wasn't. Just someone who knew the ship. She was part of it. Meanwhile, the officers held a private meeting. The acting commander, Wren, slammed his fist on the table. "We can't trust her. I want her off my ship." Captain Reese, tired and wounded from the last battle, leaned back. "She saved us, twice, and the ship only listens to her now." "She's dangerous," Wren growled. "What if she's leading us into a trap?" "She could have destroyed us already if she wanted to," the captain replied. "And yet, she didn't." Still, tensions grew. Wren ordered guards to shadow her everywhere. The girl said nothing, simply walking the halls, studying every system. She never touched a panel. She didn't need to. One night, alarms blared again, unmarked. Ships appeared from the edge of the system. Fighters scrambled, officers ran to battle stations. But the main cannon wouldn't power up. Only when the girl stepped onto the bridge and said, "Hold," did the ship respond, shielding itself without firing a single shot. The enemy ships drifted away. No fire, no damage. Just silence. The girl walked off the bridge without another word. Later in the mess hall, the crew whispered stories. Some said she was a ghost. Others said she was a god. A few said she was a machine in human skin. Tom sat alone, thinking hard. The logs he found had dates from centuries ago. The ship's MI, now partially active, responded to her like she was its creator. Or at least someone from the time it was built. He returned to her room with a question he had practiced all day. "What are you really?" he asked. She looked up from the stars again. "I'm the echo," she answered. "Of the first ones." "First humans?" She nodded slowly. "Before the wars. Before the stars were divided." Tom felt cold. "But that was thousands of years ago." She closed her eyes. "For some of us, time is not what you think." The next day, Wren tried to force her into a test chamber. "We're going to see what you're made of," he sneered. No more games. She didn't resist. But when he tried to inject a sedative, the ship went dark. Lights out. Gravity gone. Doors sealed. And then a soft voice came from every speaker. "Unauthorized contact with primary user. Cancel." Reese ran into the room moments later, gasping. "Let her go," he shouted. "She's not a prisoner anymore." Wren's hand trembled as he stepped back. The girl stood, untouched, calm, glowing faintly in the emergency lights. "I gave you warnings," she said. "You didn't listen." The ship returned to normal. The lights came back. Gravity returned. Everyone stared. She walked away without another word. Commander Wren paced the metal floor, his boots loud in the silence of the warship's control center. He had just been embarrassed in front of half the crew. The lights had failed. The ship had sealed him in, all because of her. That's strange. Silent girl who barely spoke yet somehow ruled the ship like it was born from her mind. She's dangerous, Ren muttered to himself. She's not one of us. He opened a private channel to Central Fleet Command. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. I'm requesting immediate clearance to remove the anomaly. Permanently. The voice on the other side paused. You mean the girl? She's not a girl, Ren hissed. She's something else pretending to be human. The ship follows her. She could turn it against us at any time. There was silence, then agreement. Do it quietly. Ren smiled coldly. Meanwhile, Tom walked beside the girl through a quiet corridor. She no longer wore chains. Just a simple robe, gray and smooth like the ship's walls. Some of the crew still stared at her with fear, but many had begun to nod. Slightly in her presence. Do you remember where this ship was built? Tom asked her. She looked around, then pointed upward. Not where, when, Tom blinked. When? Your year is wrong, she said. This ship was not made by your time. It was made during the first breath of the machine sky. Tom didn't understand, but her voice held no lies. In the engineering bay, 2 junior techs made a discovery. While scanning deep core data, they found a hidden system, a voice lock file buried under 5 layers of outdated code. When they tried to open it, the ship spoke in a soft, unfamiliar tone. Access denied. User not recognized. Awaiting prime signal. When they replayed the girl's voice through the COM line, the file opened instantly. Inside was a record. With one word on it, Guardian. They didn't understand what it meant, but they knew who it belonged to. Later, in the observation chamber, Ren entered with 2 guards. The girl stood near the window, looking out at a red dwarf star in the distance. She didn't turn when they approached. We're moving you, Ren said coldly. New quarters. No more bridge visits, no more freedom. She still didn't move. I gave you respect, he continued. But this is a military ship. We follow command, not myths. She slowly turned her head. Then you're already blind. Ren nodded to his men. Take her. One guard stepped forward and was instantly thrown against the wall by an invisible force. His armor cracked. He gasped for air, stuck to the metal like a magnet had grabbed his bones. The second guard froze. The lights flickered. The ship groaned dot, and then the wall itself bent open like paper, revealing a dark hallway no one had ever seen before. From the darkness, soft lights glowed. Strange symbols blinked on the sides. The girl walked toward it without fear. This ship has not been yours for a long time, she said. She vanished into the hallway, and the wall closed behind her. Ren ran to the bridge in panic. Seal off Deck 4, he shouted. Lock her in. But the command panel didn't respond. The pilot stared at the screen, pale. Sir, the ship is ignoring us. What do you mean ignoring us? It's following her. Deep inside the warship, the girl walked through a chamber untouched by time. Inside were machines not listed on any map. Old reactors, pulse cores, memory crystals all humming like they had waited for her. She placed her hand on a console. A voice greeted her. Welcome back, Guardian. Her silver eyes softened. Status? She asked. System corruption. 89%. External control attempted. Identity confirmed. Mission continuity restored. Begin cleansing, she whispered outside, all across the ship. Strange systems shut down black market software, outside surveillance links. Hidden weapons Ren had installed without approval. Ren shouted as doors closed around him. This is treason. Get her out of the core. Tom, now on the lower deck, watched warning lights flash red, then green, then vanish. The ship's heartbeat changed. It felt smoother. Alive, he ran to the private hallway and stood before the sealed wall. He didn't touch it, just waited. The wall opened. The girl stepped out. Her robe was slightly brighter now, her face calm. Are you okay? Tom asked. She nodded. The ship is remembering. Remembering what? What it once was, she said, and what it was meant to become. Behind her, the ship lit up in a ripple of white-blue energy. It was waking up, and it no longer answered to any fleet, any admiral, or any map. It answered only to her. Captain Reese stood alone in the bridge, staring at the main screen. The ship was changing. He could feel it in the air, like the hum of something waking up after a long sleep. The panels were cleaner, the engines were quieter. The warship wasn't just running better, it was becoming something else. He watched the screen as the crew tried to log into systems that had always worked. With basic passwords. Now they were locked out. The eye didn't respond to anyone except her. Not even him. Down in the ancient hallway, the girl moved slowly. She wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She walked with the silence of someone who had already seen this. Happened before. Tom followed her at a short distance, not trying to control her. He didn't carry a weapon. He just watched and listened. "You call this ship a weapon," she said without turning. "But it was never built for war." Tom frowned. "It's a battle cruiser. It has torpedoes, particle beams, armor thicker than a city wall." She stopped and placed her hand on a black panel. It opened into a chamber filled with lights and symbols he couldn't understand. That was not its first purpose. Tom stepped forward slowly. Then what was it for? To judge. In the command chamber, Wren shouted at the technicians. "Override the system. Lock her out." "We've tried everything," one of them replied. "The ship's core has rewritten itself. It doesn't even recognize our authority anymore." Wren cursed and activated a red-level protocol. "Then we bring it down from the outside." He launched a signal beacon through a narrow channel. A few moments later, a massive cruiser, Valor's Tooth, answered the call. It belonged to Wren's private fleet. No one else knew it was even nearby. He opened a tight beam signal to the captain of the cruiser. "Prepare to fire on the Vindicator," he said. "Sir, that's suicide. She's twice our size. Target the reactor. Disable it. I'll handle the rest from here." On board the Vindicator, alarms flashed as the beacon was detected. Captain Reese rushed to the communications deck. "Who sent that signal?" No one answered. The girl's voice came over the intercom. "External threat detected. Defensive permission requested." Reese stared at the speaker. "You're talking to me?" "Yes. You're asking me to approve defense systems?" "No, I'm asking you if you trust me." Reese took a long breath. "Yes." Outside, Valor's Tooth charged its main cannon. Inside, the girl stepped into the ship's heart. The core chamber lit up around her. Tom stood behind her, eyes wide. "What is this place?" "The voice of judgment," she answered. The AI spoke again. "Prime identity confirmed. Guardian of the ancient voice. Permission granted." She raised one hand. "Protect the innocent. Stop the betrayal." Outside, the Vindicator moved on its own. Its cannons didn't fire. Instead, light burst from its hull like wings opening. Energy flowed across its sides, revealing patterns no one had ever seen before, glyphs older than any language Tom had read. Valor's Tooth fired. The beam reached halfway and vanished into dust. The attacking ship's engines died instantly. Its power grid shut down. It drifted silently, completely frozen. Back on the bridge, Captain Reese heard gasps. "She didn't destroy them," someone whispered. "She turned them off." "She just silenced a ship with her voice," another said. "That wasn't war, that was command." In the lower chamber, the girl lowered her hand. Her eyes were brighter, glowing faint silver. Tom stood beside her, afraid to speak. She turned slowly. "This ship knows betrayal. It remembers what it was made to prevent." Tom finally asked, "What happened to your people?" She walked past him. "They built machines to keep peace. Then they vanished. The galaxy chose chaos instead. But their voices remain, in ships, in code, In me. Tom looked at her carefully. Are you still human? She stopped. You. Ask because I don't act like one? No, he said softly. Because you act more human than most of us. She didn't smile, but her voice was warm. Then maybe that's why this ship listens to me. Captain Reese finally ordered Wren to be arrested. The guards didn't hesitate. Wren screamed, "She's not one of us." "She's going to take everything." The guards said nothing. The ship itself opened the door to the brig before they even touched the controls. Wren was dragged away, his voice lost behind metal walls. The girl returned to the bridge. No one stopped her. She looked at Reese. "There's one more place we must go." "Where?" She pointed at the map. "A dead zone." No ships entered it. No signals came out. It had been silent for 1,000 years. "My people sleep there," she said. "But not for long." The Vindicator entered the dead zone like a shadow slipping into silence. The stars in this part of space were dim, scattered, and far apart. No beacons, no transmissions. Just darkness and the soft hum of the ship's engines. Even the eye spoke. Less now, as if it too could feel what waited ahead. Tom stood beside the girl on the observation deck. He had never seen her nervous before, but now her eyes were not calm. They were searching, remembering. "Why here?" He asked her. "This is where it began," she replied, "and where it ended." The crew watched silently as they passed into a deeper part of the zone. On the scanners, strange signals appeared, faint, broken, and old. They looked like echoes of voices calling from 1,000 years ago. The girl placed her hand on the console. The signals sharpened. They weren't just broken noise. They were a language. "They're still singing," she said. "Singing?" Captain Reese asked. "The last guardians. Before they slept, they left their song inside the field, so the ship could find them again." On the bridge, the view screen showed a large shape ahead. At first, it looked like a moon, but as they got closer, they saw metal, towers, bridges, engines, a warship bigger than anything they had ever seen, floating cold in space. Another ship? Tom whispered. "No," she said. "A city." The Vindicator slowed as it approached the giant vessel. The ship scanned for life, but found none. Only weak power signatures and a soft pulse coming from the core. The girl's eyes locked onto it. "She's waiting for me." They docked at an airlock near the broken side of the ancient city ship. The girl walked out alone. No suit, no weapon. The airlock opened for her without any command. Tom followed, against orders. He couldn't let her go in alone. Inside the ship, the air was dry and cold. Walls made of dark metal rose high above them, covered in symbols older than Earth's oldest. Ruins. The silence was heavy, but the girl's footsteps were steady. They reached a central chamber. In the middle stood a tall structure glowing faintly like a sleeping heart. The girl stepped forward and placed both hands on it. Light spread from the structure, soft at first, then growing. The floor lit up, the walls shimmered. Systems that had been dead for centuries came to life, and then came the voice. Not loud, but layered, as if 1,000 voices were speaking as one. "Guardian, you have returned." The girl closed her eyes. "I was delayed. Your vessel was lost. Your world destroyed. The path corrupted. I have awakened the voice." She said, "But the war continues. It must end." Tom watched in awe as lights danced across the walls. Shapes formed images of stars, ships, battles long forgotten. And then he saw it, humans. Not like him, but older, taller, more graceful. And behind them, machines. Ships like the Vindicator. Ships that moved like birds in the sky. Peacekeepers, judges, guardians. What happened to them? Tom whispered. "They chose silence," the girl replied. "When the galaxy turned to chaos, they sealed their creations and vanished. Why? Because the machines could not protect what didn't want peace. The city ship pulsed again. The voice returned. Do you seek to restore the circle? I do, she answered. Then speak the command. She opened her mouth and paused. Tom stepped forward. Wait, what will happen if you do this? She looked at him gently. The warships across the galaxy will wake. They will listen only to the original command codes. They will protect and punish. Tom frowned. Even us? If needed. He looked into her eyes. Then be careful. We're not perfect. But some of us are trying, she nodded. That's why I brought you. She placed her hand on the final panel and whispered a single phrase in the old tongue. The chamber exploded with light. All across the galaxy, hidden ships once buried, once silent, opened their eyes. Power flowed into forgotten engines. Beacons lit up like stars being reborn. Back on the Vindicator, the crew stared in shock as dozens of sealed their screens. Giant ships appeared on every scanner. Some looked like cities, others like birds of flame. Captain Reese stood. What did she just do? She called them back, said one of the crew. She brought the old fleet online. The girl turned to Tom. Now the galaxy must decide, chaos or judgment. And from every system across space, warlords, pirates, corrupt empires all felt the pulse in their machines. The silent watchers had returned, and they were listening. The galaxy stirred as the ancient warships woke, from frozen moons to buried oceans, from forgotten vaults in deep space to hushed corners of empires. Beacons flared to life. The ships had waited patiently, some for centuries, others since before Earth's first satellite. And now they all moved again, but not with guns. Not yet. They waited for her, on board the Vindicator. The crew stood at silent stations, watching the unfolding miracle. Giant ships passed through hyperspace lanes without sound, appearing across systems like silent judges from another era. Their weapons remained cold, but their message was clear. They were back, and they were not taking orders from anyone except her. The girl stood in the heart of the ancient city ship, light swirling around her as if the vessel itself breathed through her lungs. Tom remained by her side, staring at the pulse inside the floor, unsure whether he was looking at a machine or something alive. What happens now? He asked. We wait, she said. They will come. Who? The ones who ruined voice, the ones who chose fear over peace. On the Vindicator, Captain Reese received a transmission from a nearby system. A fleet of battlecruisers was approaching fast. Their banners showed the House of Sarek, one of the cruelest war factions. In known space, known for raising planets, known for using children as shields. They were angry. They had heard what she'd done. They were coming to kill her. Captain, said a comms officer, they've issued a warning. They say surrender the girl or be destroyed. Captain Reese looked at the screen, then stood. Arm nothing. Power down weapons. Sir, she's not ours to protect. She's already protecting us. In the city ship's core, the girl lifted her eyes. They're close. Tom looked nervous. Can we stop them? She turned to the console and placed both hands on its glowing surface. We don't stop them. We show them truth. The enemy fleet arrived in full force, 60 ships. Cannons loaded. Fighters deployed. The Vindicator was outnumbered. Reese gave no orders. The crew stood silently, waiting. And then the sky changed. One by one, the old warships appeared. First 2, then 10, then 20. Until the blackness of space was filled with quiet giants, glowing faintly with light and purpose. They did not fire. They didn't move. They simply surrounded the Sarek fleet, watching. The Sarek commander laughed. Do you think I fear your toys? He gave the order to fire, but nothing happened. His own cannons didn't respond. His ship's core flickered. The engines slowed. Then came the voice broadcast across every channel, every frequency, every ship. This is not a war. It was her. Voice. This is your final memory. Across the Sarek fleet, weapons powered down. Systems refused commands. A unit stopped mid-task. The old ships had taken control, not by force, but by awakening what was already inside the systems built. On stolen tech, the Sarek ships were frozen, unarmed, defenseless. The girl stood in the core. I give you one choice, she said to the stars. Stand down, or be remembered for your silence. One by one, the Sarek ships powered off their engines and sent out white flags of surrender on the Vindicator. The crew burst into quiet. Applause. Some cried. Some stood frozen, unable to believe what they saw. Captain Reese looked toward the screen with a heavy breath. She didn't fight a war. She ended it. Tom followed the girl back to the shuttle bay as she prepared to leave the ship. Where will you go now? He asked. To finish the song, she replied. There are still systems broken. Still guardians sleeping, but the voice has returned. That's enough. Will I ever see you again? She paused, turned slightly, and for the first time since they met, gave a faint smile. When the stars forget how to sing, I'll return. The doors opened, and she stepped into the pod. The ship opened a path through the stars. Not by force, not by engines, but because the stars themselves remembered her. The pod vanished, and with her went the last prisoner of silence, the girl who was mocked, chained, laughed at, until the warship obeyed her command.